I am an eternal optimist. So please, God, don't tell me that you're an eternal pessimist.
I like to say I'm a realist.
Oh, it's great. We're going to get along great. This is going to be great.
This is Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
Crowd is here, about to blow, waiting for me to start the show. Out the curtain, lights go up from home. Whoa!
Trying to nail down his first career save. High fly ball right field. Back on it is Wood, and he's got it in foul grounds. And Gus Varlin has his first career save in the majors, and the Washington Nationals sweep the Brewers.
It's going to be good to get these guys out of town. They have been pesky all weekend. And for a bullpen that came into this series being one of the worst in the big leagues, they were impressive. They did a good job holding the Brewers down. Let's see what happens when the Blue Jays hit town here on Tuesday.
Ryan Anderson, Bill Schroeder, Brewers TV. Friday night, Josh, when we heard BA's voice, we're like, oh, let's go. BA's back. That was pretty much the highlight of the weekend.
Yeah, that was woof. That was
Yeah,
rough.
woof is right. What's up, Wisconsin? Welcome in. Happy Monday. Happy Monday? Question mark?
It is Monday.
It is Monday. Trevor Thomas, Josh Albrecht.
Hi.
Inside Wisconsin Sports on your radio here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Those studios powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Yeah, I mean, depending on who you ask, I guess, this could be a good Monday. There was a lot of loss over the weekend that we have to deal with and talk about and assess. Guestapalooza today on a Monday. We'll get to all of that, and let's jump in then, shall we? Let's play catch-up.
Packers.
I like that this kind of goes in order, Josh. Like, this was the first thing that happened over the weekend that allowed us to go, okay, this might be a weekend here. So in case you missed it, there was a bit of a trade from the Green Bay Packers sending Dontavian Wicks to the Eagles for a 2026 fifth-round pick, which was originally Atlanta's, and then a 2027 sixth-round pick. In lightning speed, he signs a 1-year, $12.5 million extension with Philly. So if you just pause for a moment and think about all the conversation, Josh, that you and I have had about the Packers running it back and how it seemed like they were just going to run it back. Great, they're running it back. Nope, no, they're not. Officially, they are not running it back. With that departure, 26+% turnover on the roster. And we aren't done yet, as you would say, plus numerous coaching staff changes, 2 new coordinators. I don't think they're running it back.
I mean, it doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem like necessarily they're improving, but a lot of the faces we thought we would still see are not going to be there. That was a weird one. The timing of everything with Wicks, what they got for him, none of that made sense to me.
Man, that's so funny. It makes total sense to me. The wide receiver room was overcrowded. There's too many guys in there. We weren't going to pay Dontavian Wicks what he just signed with Philadelphia for. We were very short on draft picks going into this draft. So Goody got 1 for this year and 1 for next year. And he loves his draft picks. And I think that from a receiver standpoint, we just didn't have room for Wicks. I mean, look at the room, right? We have Matthew Golden, who should have a bigger role this year. Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, those 2 dudes we know we can count on. We got Sky Moore coming in, although he's here to be a returner. Malik Heath should be back. Bo Melton should be back. And we still have Savion Williams. So it does look like from the surface level that there's been a lot of exit stage left in the receiver room, but it kind of needed to happen.
Yeah, but like you just named the, like, okay, if you told me at the end of last season, like, hey, we're going to lose Wicks, but don't worry, because we're going to have Malik Heath, who primarily played defense last year, and Savion Williams, who we didn't see like at all. Like, yeah, there are names, there are bodies still in that room.
Did you miss the first 3 names? Matthew Golden, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson.
Matthew Golden, who we're waiting for them to start utilizing him, but
I think that was on purpose.
What was his story all of his rookie year? Was why aren't they using him? Why aren't they using him?
I think that was on purpose.
Okay, maybe it was. I'm just saying, like, the Wicks thing just seemed strange to me.
The timing is good. We landed another draft pick. We know going in that we have a fairly stocked receiver room. That doesn't mean Goody won't bring on a guy like Savion Williams like we did last year later in the rounds, but nonetheless, 26+%. And that's if, of course, a fella named Fitzpatrick in the old tight end position who still remains out there as a current free agent. If he removes himself from that list, it's still 13 guys that officially departed this roster. So wait and see. The draft is literally next week. We're going to see.
Crazy.
Right. Anything else happened this weekend, Packer? Oh, Brewers. Yeah, little Brewers.
Brewers.
Actually, nothing happened with the Brewers.
No, nothing happened with the nothing positive.
Brutal weekend for the Milwaukee Brewers. They are on a 5-game skid, Josh, for the first time. Did you see in how long?
No, a long time.
June of 2023 is the last time they lost 5 in a row. So pause. It's okay. This hasn't happened in a hot minute. The most they lost last year in a row was 4. 4 in a row to start the season, 4 in a row later in the year. We haven't had a skid like this since June of 2023. Okay. That's the semi-good news if you look at it through an optimistic lens. The bad news is we can't hit.
No, we can't. We can't hit at all. And it was against a team at home that the Brewers should have been able to bounce back from in the Nationals, that they didn't do that either. The Nationals looked more like the Brewers than the Brewers did.
Yeah. So let's recap the weekend, I guess. It started on Friday, which seemingly looked like a decent game, even though the hitting wasn't there. And then Trevor McGill comes in and youch.
Yep.
Real bad, losing 7-3 on Friday. Saturday, a 3-1 loss where they were only able to muster up 2 hits. And then yesterday, Bryce Terang, couple home runs. Gary Sanchez, a couple home runs. Can't hang on. And they lose 8-6. That was the final yesterday.
Yeah,
so,
and the tough part about yesterday's game was that it was all on the bullpen. Remember when they said that the Brewers bullpen was number 1? We had number 1 bullpen. And it seemed like it didn't matter. The second that the Brewers came back or were inching back, then they'd give up more runs. Okay, the Brewers are on their way back. Now it's 6-3. Okay, well, now it's 6-6. Next half inning, now it's 8-6. Oh, okay. Like, we didn't even have time to celebrate the ups.
Yeah, but there's a lot of downs to talk about, including one guy going down, and that's Christian Yelich. We heard from Murph after the game. He says it doesn't look real good for Christian Yelich.
We're most likely going to get some bad news on Yelich to further put us down, if you want to. But felt a little twinge in his hamstring, and we're getting it imaged right now. There is some fluid in there, so, let's wait and see. He wanted to stay in the game, but just like everything else, we just got to be careful of these guys. This in April. We're in April. What's the date? April 12th. Yeah. April 12th. We got a lot of injuries. So.
Okay. Well. So that is what it is, right? And definitely we have a lot of injuries. Let me just show you some optimism here, Wisconsin, so that we can essentially just take a deep breath on a Monday morning. April 12th, 2025. Their record, 8-7. That's good.
Okay.
In comparison, the record is not the current problem. Last year, there was a mittful of injuries for the Milwaukee Brewers that we started the season with and then dealt with super early on. The list of injuries is worse this year because it's bigger names. Guys like Christian Yelich and Jackson Chourio, Vaughn, Jared Koenig, Quinn Priester, and so on. So how do we feel assessing the situation on Monday, the 13th of April, with an 8-7 record, a 5-game skid, and some pretty significant injuries? Although it looks like we're going to get some of these guys back here pretty quick.
Well, thank the Lord for it, because they need him. I mean, I just keep telling myself, it's early. But if I couldn't say that, I would be close to the panic button. Like, if I didn't see what this team could do last year, if you didn't believe in Murph and how this team could fight, you would be worried right now, not because, as you mentioned, the 5-game skid, but because you're on a 5-game skid and you have these injuries. And it becomes, all right, but when do these guys come back? And are they going to be able to do like they did last season and win through the injuries, get through the game somehow, whether it's a 2-1 or 10-9 victory? Can they find a way to chip away and be that team? And they haven't for the last 5 games.
As of April of last year, here's a list of the guys that we either started the season with on the injured list or became injured during the months of April. Tobias Myers, Aaron Ashby, D.L. Hall, Brandon Woodruff, Robert Gasser, Nick Mears, Aaron Savale, Nestor Cortez, Connor Thomas, Garrett Mitchell. That's a lot of injuries to start last season. And we remember well that it really affected the bullpen more than anything else. This year, Christian Yelich with some tightness in his hammy yesterday. Jackson Chourio, who hopefully we should be getting back, if not this week, next week, based on how imaging went, which we've heard nothing about for the most part. Andrew Vaughn, we know where he's at. Quinn Priester's dealing with the thing. Jared Koenig has a left UCL sprain. But really, that's about it in terms of injuries and or things that we have to watch from a Brewers perspective. What's wrong with the bats? That's the bigger worry, in my opinion. Yeah. Why can't we seem to hit? We're batting 153 during this 5-game skid. 153. Yeah.
Ugly. Just ugly. Ugly baseball. I don't know. They got to figure it out. Get hats for bats. I don't know. Sacrifice a small chicken. I don't know. Do something. Figure something out. But they got to get that back and going. Also, I will find the audio. I got to keep going. But shout out to TRev768 on Twitter, who was quick to point out the Trevor jinx of Christian Yelich last week when you said he's 100% healthy, and it terrified me. And you were like, no, he is. And now he's not.
He had a 100% healthy 2025. That wasn't completely out of bounds to say. We noticed that Christian Yelich had a level of oompha to him this year that he did not have last year, and certainly not years prior to that.
You're right.
So here we go. This was a Christian Yelich that was fun to watch. We were noticing his gusto. And I said, because I thought we had 100% healthy Christian Yelich. And he was. Listen, if I had the power to be knocking out hamstrings in major league ball players, I'd fix world peace.
You might have that power and not know it. My concern is that we had that Christian Yelich for 14 and a half games. That's not long enough for me to, when someone starts talking about Yelich's health, go, yeah, I think he's finally figured it out. Like, just how many times last season did he go down, need a break, back tighten? I mean, it seemed like whenever he was getting hot, something happened, and he would go on the IL. You go, God, he was just finding his stride, and then something would happen. We talk about how something seemed different this year, and not even just at the plate, like an attitude thing. Something felt different this year, and then boom, something happens. I also there are things, and I think they're going to be fine, but there were things that happened injury-wise over the weekend that I was just like, oh boy, what is going on? When Gary Sanchez threw that ball to first, and it went off of Harrison's knee on like the first batter of that game on Saturday. I mean, I was at the game. Everyone's just throwing their arms up like, you got to be kidding me. Is this real life? Like, we're going to lose a pitcher because we threw at him? What's happening? It's a very frustrating time analyzing the Milwaukee Brewers right now.
Oh, it gets better, right? The Badgers had a good weekend?
No, they didn't.
Badgers.
Well, it didn't start well anyway. Actually, it did start well. The Badgers men's hockey team, national championship game, Saturday afternoon, 4:00. They came out and looked great. Their shots on goal were trumping what Denver was able to put towards the net.
True.
They score a goal in the first, and then that was it. And you just knew that heading into that third period, if Wisconsin didn't find a way to score another goal, this might not end well for Bucky. And it didn't end well for Bucky. A 2-1 loss in the national championship game. Denver gets to take home the trophy, and Wisconsin puts a feather in the cap of reaching the Frozen Four, but at the end of the day, it doesn't have anything to show for it. That was tough.
Yeah, it was tough, especially because to your point, yeah, you're only up 1-0, but you were up 1-0 going into the third. You were up 1-0 with less than 7 minutes left in the game. Like you think, okay, at some point they're going empty net, but like just hold on, and then nope, blow it again, game, and you're going, oh God, talk about it all falling apart so fast.
Yeah, if we could really figure out the whole quote-unquote fourth quarter of our sports teams, that would be marvelous.
What was the big thing we said about the Packers? This team has a finishing problem. Remember that conversation?
Uh-huh.
Is that not becoming the state's problem?
Yep,
How
pretty
do
much.
we finish?
Certainly seems to be something that we're super good at lately. Okay.
The Bucks finished.
Well, hold on. I believe now is when the pendulum starts to swing the other way because news broke last night.
True.
That Chris McIntosh is moving on from the University of Wisconsin athletic director's office. Pause. I think this is good for the University of Wisconsin. When the chancellor decided to move on, I expected Chris McIntosh to follow suit pretty quick because that chancellor was the person that had Chris McIntosh's back in everything that he was doing. He even came out and said that we're lockstep. We're all on the same page and everything's good. Well, no, everything's bad, actually, really bad, especially from a football perspective. And now, after getting some sort of legislation passed to use state funds to go towards debt at the University of Wisconsin in their athletic department so that we could drum up more money for the NIL, Chris McIntosh, who decided to bring in Luke Fickell over Jim Leonard, says, you know, guys, this just isn't for me.
My only concern with this, and the reason why I was okay with McIntosh waiting it out one more year, was that was what we were giving Luke Fickell. And I know you had been the one leading the charge on the stance of, I think if Fickell's out, McIntosh is out. I think they're tied together. Mm-hmm. And I went, okay, so we're going to give them both one more shot now that they quote unquote found the money and then see what happens. And now only one of them's gone. And I'm sitting here going, so what does that mean for Fickell? Is Fickell going to see this season? Is the new AD going to bring in a new guy? Is it going to be, hey, I came in? Is it going to be an Ed Policy situation where he's going to come in his first year and then extend him? Oh, that'll really get me going. It ended up creating more questions for me in regards to what happens next. I wanted these guys to be tied together. Now they're not. One of them left without taking the other one.
Lots of conversation to be had about that move for Chris McIntosh and a move for the Milwaukee Bucks. He gone.
I mean, in the least shocking news of the season, Doc Rivers not going to be the Bucks coach in 2027.
Did you see, though, that he's still going to get paid his 8-figure salary for the 26-27 season, which means he's technically being fired, although they're not going to come out and say he's getting fired because they're transitioning him to a different position potentially within the Bucks. And Doc spoke after the game yesterday, which was the end of the season for the Milwaukee Bucks. And Josh and I talked last week, how quickly do we expect things to start to change? I did not have it on the bingo card, Josh, in the post-game presser, that's when things were going to start to change, but maybe that's on us. Here are 2 sound bites from his chat yesterday after the game, him being Doc Rivers. Number 1, Doc was asked what he wants his legacy to be. Here's what he had to say.
Honestly, I just want to be known as a good guy at the end of the day, a good parent. And I was able to change some of the players that I've coached lives. Other than that, it's not really for me to talk about, and it's too early to talk about it.
Okay.
What?
How do you feel about that?
The question is obviously about your coaching career, your NBA career. You're going to get inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. Any of those would have been things to bring up. A good parent? That's what I say. Because I didn't win a championship. I say, well, I just hope that I'm remembered as a good parent. That's a terrible answer from a Hall of Famer, soon to be Hall of Famer.
Doc did a lot of talking this weekend. Tomorrow we'll recap his thoughts on Shams, but far too much news today to cover in terms of Wisconsin sports to dive into the whole Shams shabacles.
Yeah.
Doc was asked about Giannis. How do you want to see this thing end? Here's what he said.
Yeah, I just want to see it end well for him. Like, I really do. And for the franchise. I think they both deserve it. We can't let the loss that Giannis and this franchise won a title together. And to me, that should never be lost, no matter how this ends up. And as I said, Giannis is a fantastic person. I've been lucky to coach a lot of stars, and he's right at the top as far as just good people. And I want good people to be taken care of.
Your thoughts?
Okay. I mean, it was a very generic answer, but yes to everything he said. Great. I'm glad that he thinks that Giannis is a great person, that you want that great person to be taken care of. Yes, we should not forget that they won a championship together. Absolutely. I think that is very important. We think about in Wisconsin, how often we talk about the fact that we had 31 years of amazing Hall of Fame quarterbacks in Green Bay and only one Super Bowl apiece to show for it. Appreciate that championship that came in 2021, but also that was a whatever answer. I don't know. There was more that he said not during the presser in other clips. There was another story that came out of him saying, I think that it would be easier for Giannis to say if the Bucks had the pieces. They don't.
Not yet.
And when he said that, I was like, that is a more valid answer than this, right? It's still truthful. I think we all know it as the case that, yeah, it's if the Bucks are competitive, Giannis is more likely to stay. They're not right now. Now, some people think that might have just been the coaching, and that maybe if the coaching changes, so will the win-loss record. I don't know.
Well, Chuck seems to know. Charles Barkley, Shaq, Ernie. Who's the fourth? Kenny?
Yep.
Inside the NBA. They talked about the pieces, specifically in the Bucks locker room. Here's what Charles had to say, Charles Barkley, about how there's some punks in that locker room.
Well, let me tell you something. They got some punks in that damn Milwaukee locker room.
Why do they have punks?
When you leak what happens in team meetings, you're a punk. Or Kenny, the locker room is sacred. You've seen fights. You've seen players fight and coaches fight, correct?
Okay. I'm seeing where you're going, though.
That should never get to the press.
But it always does every year. It always does.
And let me tell you, when's the last time it happened on a good team?
Good teams don't fight.
That's not true.
Good teams don't fight.
Good teams do fight.
Because we got one leader that lay that damn fist down. Ain't no fighting in my locker room. Listen, what are you talking about? No fighting. Whatever I say, go.
They got heated about that.
Yeah, he almost broke that table. You could almost hear that table break.
Shaq's got a heavy arm.
Yeah, he does.
But I think that's interesting, right? Because we can look at Doc and all the things that didn't go right from a coaching perspective. But at the end of the day, those dudes in the locker room aren't seeing eye to eye. The coaching staff wasn't seeing eye to eye with them, the front office and the ownership. It's a debacle in Milwaukee in terms of the Bucks. It's a complete debacle. So what happens from here forward? Well, there's a lot of basketball still to be played in the NBA. The finals don't end until June. And yet, the first head rolls, Doc Rivers no longer with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, I think it's important to note, too, that a lot of people, based on Doc's comments away from the pressers, just in other interviews, alluded to that it was Cam Thomas who was leaking, who was the mole, who was that attitude. And it kind of answered that question of us all being really confused, going, I thought Cam was like the answer for this team. Now he's gone? What happened? Well, maybe that happened.
Well, Shams said last week, though, there were 6 guys in the locker room in that meeting that all used as sources when it all went south with Doc. Listen, I don't know the fix, nor does my paycheck get signed by Wes Edens. So at the end of the day, it's going to be fun to watch, fun for us to talk about. And I think finally we can just breathe and say, woof, that was a rough season.
Yeah.
All right. How was the game on Friday night, Josh? Anything
game,
specific there in regard to waving goodbye to Giannis?
So we made a sign that said, "We love Giannis." Thunder and I at the game. A bunch of people wanted to get "Thank you, Giannis" chants going. He saw our sign. He said, like, he waved. He said, like, "Thank you, Giannis." That is. And then when people started to get those chants going, he was like, "No, cut that out, cut that out." We were very surprised too that none of the Antetokounmpo brothers played. Right? Like, we were all kind of waiting for the Thanasis garbage time. They were up by plenty in that final home game, and no Antetokounmpo saw the floor. And Mitch went, I bet that was their decision, that they were going to sit out. And I went, interesting.
Well, that's bad, too.
Interesting.
Okay, moving on. Anything else?
Anything else?
Chuck Garbedian was almost a living legend hero.
Let me tell you. I started texting him when I saw Rose move up. I was like, I wanted to. I was like, don't text him, don't jinx it. And then he chunked it. And then Justin Rose chunked it on that one hole. And I went, okay, now I can. Brutal. But he was charging back. He had it. He had the lead on his own.
Did.
How are you doing?
Not well after he chunked it. I had $25 on Justin Rose to win the Masters to win me $500. And going into that last day, he's 3 or 4 shots back of the lead. And I was like, all right, well, this could be fun. Right? Watch. Oh my God, he's in the lead. And then he pooed the bet.
Yeah.
He should have at least been 12 under. Well, guess what? What did Rory win at?
12 under.
12 under.
Yep. And I got to say, so Rory wins back-to-back Masters if you missed it. But I like to see an exciting Sunday. And I felt like for the last 7 holes, it was, okay, it's Rory's to lose. There wasn't like Rory had to make good shots. He goes into the last hole. He could, as long as he didn't double bogey, he was going to win. He ends up bogeying it for the win. It's like, okay, damn, give me at least some juice.
He's got a 2-shot lead on the 18th tee to win the Masters in the second year in a row. Not the round, not, hey, guys, we're going to play this hole out and see who buys the first round. It's for back-to-back Masters championships, and he chunks one into the woods. And I'm like, yes, let's do this.
Right.
This could be great.
Yeah.
A fun Sunday all around for the Masters. Not a great weekend for Wisconsin sports. Lots to cover. And you might have a question or two. And that's why we give ourselves some time to ask some questions and give some answers in the I Have Questions portion of Inside Wisconsin Sports. We'll do that next. We're off and running live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. It's Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
When things just don't add up, Trevor and Josh ask the hard questions or just point out how messed up stuff is.
I only have one question. Can you fly this plane and land it? Surely you can't be serious.
Do you view this season as a failure?
You asked me the same question last year.
What's the most important question the Badgers have to answer Saturday?
This is a great question. Oh my God, this is a great question.
It's time for I Have Questions on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
7-7-1250, the Nicolay Law Talk and Text Line. What questions do you have this morning that we can answer for you in 100% certainty that this is the right answer? 100%. The question that I have, hashtag burn it down. Did Chris McIntosh come in, ruin Wisconsin football, and then just go and take a job at the Big Ten?
Whoa. That's a take.
Does that not seem like, I mean, listen, all the things, right? Like the NIL and how much has changed and blah, 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 blah. He's the guy. He's the one that had the magic wand in his hand and the sword in the other hand. And together with his history, his Wisconsin roots, his playing time at Camp Randall and all the things, he said the Wisconsin Badgers football team that has been is not good enough. And he made a significant change to change the way Wisconsin football hits the field, the way it feels when the Badgers football players go on the field, the way they operate, the way they coach. Everything changed under Chris McIntosh. And Josh and I have been talking for weeks that we thought the Chancellor and Chris McIntosh and Luke Fickell were all attached together. Kind of like the other love triangle here in Green Bay with LaFleur and Goody and Russ Ball. And now the Chancellor's out. And now all of a sudden, Chris McIntosh doesn't feel safe and decides to take a job with the Big Ten. And we're not terribly far away from having legit conversations about Badgers football coming up in the fall. So my question is, 100% committed. You said you were 100% committed. I had Chris McIntosh on the Inside Wisconsin podcast not terribly long after he got the job. And here's what he had to say about being the athletic director of the Wisconsin Badgers.
I am 100% loyal to this university and to what it stands for and the way that we go about our business and doing it with a high degree of integrity. And, it's one of those, failure is not an option, though, I've made plenty of mistakes and I will continue to, not to be confused with perfection, but to me, this place, means the world to me. And like I said, it changed my life. I don't know where I would be without having had access to this university.
Apparently working for the Big Ten. That's where. And now listen, I am not sad to see Chris McIntosh move on. I just think it's convenient. And that pisses me off.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. Oh, you have an out. You have a new fancy position. For them to be able to phrase it that way too, right? Now, who knows what happened behind closed doors and what, decisions were made. But how it gets to be presented is, hey, a new opportunity came out of nowhere. That is just a great opportunity for me that to still work in college athletics and have this wonderful position within the Big Ten. I just have to move on from what I'm doing at Wisconsin. And how convenient. I went and I looked it up. Yeah, so he's been the AD for 5 years?
Yep.
And that time, 2 years with Paul Chryst, and then the 3 years with Luke Fickell.
Less than 2 years with Paul Chryst. Remember, he fired him mid-season.
Right.
Jim Leonard took over as the interim.
In 2022. Yeah. So if you think about how long it takes, right, and this is kind of the question, how long does it take to get your fingers in the program to really make something? And it's changed right now with NIL and everything. It can be year to year. But if you really think about, all right, if he got his fingers in 21, 22, he makes a change. And then ever since, they've been garbage.
Garbage.
Yeah.
And the big change came after the 22 season. They had still a bowl game to play, but Jim Leonhard walked into Chris McIntosh's office with a plan for Wisconsin football. And it looked and felt and smelled like Wisconsin football. And Chris McIntosh said that Wisconsin football isn't going to win us a national championship. Makes a move to hire Luke Fickell, who he believed was going to be the savior of the Wisconsin football program because it needed a change. As if the team and the program that Chris McIntosh played for himself needed to go away and be different. Do you know what they're doing this year in Wisconsin football? They're trying everything they possibly can to be the Wisconsin football team and program they were before Chris McIntosh made the change.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm going down my tinfoil, put my tinfoil cap on, and I'm looking at the basketball team too, right? Because he's the AD. It's not like he was just in charge of the foot. He's in charge of the entire program. I don't know. Maybe he stayed away from hockey, because they were still successful. I don't know. But looking at the basketball team, right? Okay. 2021-22 tied for first in the Big Ten. Then 2022-23, they go 11th, 5th, 4th, 5th in the Big Ten. Obviously, there are a lot of good teams, but I'm just saying, if you're looking at his overall Chris McIntosh's time, what was the highlight? What was the highlight for Chris McIntosh in his tenure as athletic director for the University of Wisconsin-Madison?
The 920 says, remember, the AD is responsible for all sports like women's volleyball and women's hockey also. Well, women's hockey national championship, the 9th national championship in women's hockey. There was a national championship for volleyball, who is a dominant program. If you think that Chris McIntosh had his fingers in all sports at the level he did in football and basketball on the men's side, you're kidding yourself.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we don't know for sure, but I would assume with all those different sports, knowing that men's basketball and the football program are the money makers and the ones that needed the most help, he's probably looking at women's hockey and volleyball going, all right, you guys are good. And that was the last time he thought about them. Like, he thought about them for 5 seconds, saw that they were doing well, moved on. So I'm not going to give him credit for what's happening there and then say he did perfect with these programs, but terrible with the others. That just seems too fishy to me.
The 920 says, and I think this sums it up perfectly, McIntosh saw the writing on the wall. And that is brutal. 414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line. Your reaction continues about Chris McIntosh leaving Wisconsin for a job in the Big Ten. Joe Thomas scheduled to join us towards the bottom of the 7:30 hour, towards the bottom of the 7 o'clock hour, around 7:30. Jocko joins us in the 8 o'clock hour. We've got some Badger connections scheduled to appear here on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. It's just a matter of time. Joe Thomas was hilarious, by the way. Hey, let me know what the topics are, unless you just want to talk about Chris McIntosh. To which I was like, yep, just Chris McIntosh and maybe a little hockey too.
That's the topic, bud.
That's it.
That's the one.
He's scheduled to join us at 7:25. When we come back, scheduled to appear, the most electrifying sound of the day. We're live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. It's Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
It's time for
The most electrifying
sound of the day
The most electrifying
on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Brought to you by Best Electric. Learn more at bestelect.com. Don't stress. Connect with the best.
And the par three, Shane Lowry on the tee.
Right at it, baby.
Oh, right at it. How about right in?
The hole-in-one for Shane Lowry. That's the 7th hole-in-one all-time here at the 6th. And for Lowry, it's his 2nd in his Masters career. He also had one at 16 10 years ago.
And Shane Lowry's hole-in-one on the 6th at the Masters, call courtesy of CBS. It's the most electrifying sound of the day. Brought to you by our friends at Best Electric. Remember, no job is too big or too small for Best Electric. Don't stress. Connect with the best. Call them today or visit bestelect.com. Trevor, I was so excited when that happened for a few reasons, but mostly because I was like, perfect, let's get Shane Lowry in the mix. The more guys that were considered, quote-unquote, the field, better for my bet idea that, yeah, you can take your top 4, give me the field. And then it still ended up being Rory, who was one of the top 4.
The field did not perform for you.
No, they did not.
No,
they were
did.
there. They were close.
Super funny moment about that Shane Lowry hole-in-one. So Saturday night, I'm at this bar in Neenah called Batley's Grill and Bar. Met a whole bunch of people, most likely some new listeners this morning. I was watching the hockey game in between things with this retreat I was on with my wife and some friends of ours from church. And I look up and I see this hole-in-one on the screen where the Masters was being played.
Mm-hmm.
And I start losing my mind. Oh, my God, that's great. Oh, I love it. It was a replay. You ever do that?
I was going to say, I don't think that happened at night. Yeah.
No.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah, that's rough. I have done that, but usually it's not like, it's like an immediate one. You know, like if it just happened and then I'll see it like 5 minutes later and I'll go, oh, okay. All right, I'm caught up now. Got it.
Yeah. Yep. Wasn't paying attention to the golf. I was trying to watch the Badgers hockey game and happened to look over and I see Lowry hit that hole-in-one. I lost my mind. Embarrassing.
Did everyone else just see that? Yeah,
No,
man, like
yeah, they
hours
did.
ago.
Yep. Yeah. Oopsies. Shout out to Casey and Becky. We appreciate you guys tuning in. And I also met the garbage man from last week, Josh. Do you remember the conversation that we were having about losing a pinky?
Yes.
It was a would you rather that we talked about. Would you rather anything else and the Brewers win the World Series?
Yes.
There was a garbage man that chimed in and said that, what about a pinky? I'm in Neenah, Wisconsin. I see an old family member of mine who's there with his best buddy who happens to be the garbage man from Milwaukee, the Waukesha, Oconomowoc area. Outstanding to meet him, say hello. Small world, bud. You never know.
Very
big
cool.
fan of Inside Wisconsin Sports. It was awesome. Are you a big fan of all the things that happened over the weekend with change? Chris McIntosh, change. Doc Rivers, change. The Brewers hitting has changed. We'll cover all of it next in the Malott Meets Morning Mind Dump on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I am an eternal optimist. So please, God, don't tell me that you're an eternal pessimist.
I like to say I'm a realist.
Oh, it's great. We're going to get along great. This is going to be great.
This is Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
Crowd is here, about to blow, waiting for me to start the show. Out the curtain, lights go up, I'm home. Whoa!
Trying to nail down his first career save. High fly ball right field. Back on it is Wood, and he's got it in foul grounds. And Gus Varlin has his first career save in the majors, and the Washington Nationals sweep the Brewers.
It's going to be good to get these guys out of town. They have been pesky all weekend. And for a bullpen that came into this series being one of the worst in the big leagues, they were impressive. They did a good job holding the Brewers down. Let's see what happens when the Blue Jays hit town here on Tuesday.
Yeah, Rock, but so did the Red Sox.
Who are also struggling.
Yeah, not good. Brian Anderson, Bill Schroeder, exactly as you would expect him to sound like on Brewers TV. Exactly how we all feel after watching the Brewers drop 3 in a row and then 5 in a row in total. Ugh.
Yuck.
We'll try to rebound tomorrow. He said it. Blue Jays come to town. Off day for Milwaukee today, but nothing else. Everything else is alive and well. Well, we'll see. Trevor Thomas, Josh Albrecht.
Hi.
Inside Wisconsin Sports on a Monday at 7 a.m.-ish. Time for the Malott Meats Morning Mind Dump.
I hear voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me.
The coffee has kicked in. We're awake and ready to roll. Let's get some things off our chest and out of our heads.
You don't know what it's like to be me out here for you. It is an up at dawn, pride swallowing siege that I will never fully tell you about, okay?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I'm in a glass case of emotion.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
We got no food, we got no jobs, our pets' heads are falling off!
It's time for the Morning Mind Dump, presented by Malott Meats. High-quality meats at a fair price, safely delivered to your front door. To learn more, visit WisconsinMeatMarket.com. Experience the power of the family meal with Malott Meats on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
Malott Meats is giving away some meat, 4 USDA prime 8-ounce tenderloins, 4 signature Angus 6-ounce tenderloins. You can enter by liking and commenting on the video that's pinned on their socials. Follow them on their platform. The winner will be picked May 1st in time for Mother's Day. 10% off, too, by the way, at WisconsinMeatMarket.com. The Malott Meats Morning Mind Dump, where we create a safe place for all of you to get all of the things that are built up in your head and on your chest out and off so that we can begin our week with the best chance we have of positivity. About that.
Oh, there are a lot of people this morning that have been fired up about everything going on. You know, Jeff and Fox Point. Can we just quickly start with Jeff and Fox Point?
Yeah, well, he starts without us most days.
Yeah. So if you listen to the show, you know, Jeff at Fox Point, he's like, it's like 5:59.5, and he's like, and send my thoughts. And he texts him in. And usually he's pretty upbeat. He's got some good ideas. Oh boy, on a Monday. No. No. He did not. So he said, by the end of the day yesterday, was this a good weekend of Wisconsin sports? Positive. Doc resigns. McIntosh resigns. Negative. Brewers swept and have a 5-game losing streak. Badgers lose the national title. Since those City Connect uniforms were introduced, warned, 2 former Brewer managers died. The Brewers were swept by the Nationals. Maybe it's time to cool it with those uniforms.
Whoa.
Jeez, Jeff.
Good morning to you too, bud.
He is not the only one, by the way. Jason in the 920. I think the homestand sucked because of the uniforms, as they equally suck. People turning on the uniform based on the homestand.
Yeah. Well, the cool part about it was we all learned the story, and a lot of people switched their tone. As a matter of fact, I was chilling at this bar I was talking about. It's Batley's. Casey and Becky were there. Becky didn't know what the deal was with those uniforms. I shared the story, and now she loves them. Well, bad things happen when those uniforms were being worn by the Brewers. I'd sure like to think it doesn't have anything to do with the uniforms. We're going to test it tomorrow.
Oh, people! I'm just saying, people they flip-flopped. They were mad about them. Then they heard the story, and then people were turning a little bit, and then they lost 3 games in a row in them, and people went, these suck.
The 262 says, can we get a hit with runners in scoring position, please, for the love of God?
Yeah.
And why did it take so long to get Doc out of the picture? I'm going to answer that second one first. It took so long because it wasn't worth it. There was nothing that the Bucs were going to gain from moving on from Doc Rivers before they did, which was literally a half a second before the final buzzer yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So that was what it was. This idea of getting a hit with runners in scoring position, that would be great. That would be great.
Yeah, big fan. No idea.
The Brewers literally got 24 hits in 157 at-bats during this 5-game skid. They're batting 153. 153. So I would like hits regardless, let alone with runners in scoring position. Let's just try that. And let us pray. Dear Lord, put your hands on the hamstring of Christian Yelich. And whatever you did to Reggie White, although it can't be that bad. Right? Do it again. Amen. I think Chris McIntosh moving on from Wisconsin is a good thing. We're going to ask Joe Thomas. He joins us coming up, scheduled to appear at 7:25 to get his thoughts on how tough it was for Wisconsin hockey over the weekend, as well as how do we process this information of Chris McIntosh taking a new position at the Big Ten, which is bull.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way.
414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law talk and text line. JB in the 920 says, while we're at it, Bucci, in his absolute love for Denver during the broadcast, he can
smooch him.
Yep. Yeah. Have a little kiss. All right, JB, here's what you don't understand about Bucci. I'll defend him a little bit here. Bucci is the college hockey guy at ESPN who picked Denver to win the whole thing before the season started. So Bucci knew that Denver was going to be a problem in the third period if Wisconsin didn't find a way to score another goal. And they did not find a way to score another goal.
Yeah, true. That's a fair defense.
Jeff from Fox Point does not represent all Jeffs that interact with this show. Signed, Jeff from Luxembourg.
He does not speak for all Jeffs.
He does not.
I love this one from the 920. No name attached to it. Lord, do I hate Mondays. And I got a little bit of Brewers blues, but damn am I happy I never have to see Doc's face again in Milwaukee. Now we see what happens going forward. This is why we need the morning mind dump. What a roller coaster in one text. Boy, I hate Mondays. And I'm sad because of the Brewers. But I'm sure happy because Doc's gone. He went through mad, sad, and happy in one text. Incredible.
There he is, the pinky-less garbage man, Mike.
No, you can't say that. He still has his pinky, right?
No, well, he would like it to be pinky-less.
Sure. But you can't. He isn't currently pinky-less. He's saying
if it was up to him,
to be.
If it guaranteed a Brewers World Series, he would rip the damn thing off today.
Sure. Okay.
He says, my morning mind dump. It was nice to meet you, Trevor, at said bar, Brantley's on Saturday in Neenah. G-Man Mike, it was great to meet you too, man. It was awesome. What are the odds of that? Neenah, Wisconsin on a random Saturday night. And there's G-Man Mike, the garbage man himself, trying to cut college pinkies off watching hockey and drinking beers. Blast.
So let's get into this a little bit here. let's specifically with the Brewers. We're going to talk a lot about Chris McIntosh and the Badgers. We got Joe Thomas coming up next. You're not going to want to miss that. Scheduled to appear. But
we really never know.
We never know. He could be in a car. He could be in a train, plane. Who knows?
Cold tub.
But at what point do we hit the panic button on the Brewers? I'm not saying that we're hitting the panic button. I'm just playing this out, right? If they come back and they win two out of 3 against the Blue Jays, I think we're going, all right, this is the roller coaster. We're right back on. They're finding ways to do this. Even with injuries, they're still that team. If they get swept by the Blue Jays to make it 8 losses in a row,
panic.
You're still in April. It's still April.
Don't panic.
Okay.
I would panic for a lot of reasons.
Okay.
Outside of this injury bug that they seem to be dealing with in Milwaukee, which I have questions about. And we talked about this last week, Josh, where are we really wound up about something that we don't think we should be wound up about in terms of injuries? Well, Christian Yelich says, hold my beer. And then Murph comes out afterwards and says, I don't think we're going to get good news in regard to Christian Yelich.
Yeah.
So my hand is currently hovering over the panic button. It's big names in this injury bug era right now for the Milwaukee Brewers. These aren't little injuries for guys that were like, oh, whatever. I'm not as concerned about this Christian Yelich one as I am about Jackson Chourio coming back from whatever's going on in his hand. Yelly is the quote-unquote designated hitter for the Brewers this season. But we have others that can fill a DH spot that have a chance of getting hits.
Agreed. I just think there's a little bit more to it, right? In the past, especially last year, we looked at, oh boy, these injuries are something to worry about. And then the team stepped up. What's the one area right now that we can look at on this team and go, okay, they're okay. Health-wise, they're okay.
Catchers.
The bullpen, right? We got Ashby, Uribe, McGill. I mean, we got guys. Zerpa, like we've got guys in the bullpen. Problem is, they're not injured, and they're giving up a bunch of runs. They're not this lockdown bullpen that we saw in the first couple series of the season. They've been struggling, and there's not injury. So that's my concern. That's why I have my hand hovering around the panic button, is because you've lost 5 in a row. You can't really let it get worse. And the only area of your team that isn't battling injury is struggling. You need those pieces to pick up the rest of the team when you're battling injuries. They're not. The bats are cold. The bullpen is not helping. Woof. I mean, Woody went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits and a run. That's a great start.
Great. There was a little bit of chipperness in regard to some feedback yesterday that Murph pulled the pin on him too quickly.
Yeah. 6 innings. I'm very happy with Woody going 6 innings. I just didn't expect Uribe and Zerpa to give up 7.
I didn't expect Trevor McGill to blow up on Friday night.
That's what I'm saying. That's a reason to panic. If you find yourself on an 8-game skid and your bullpen is the reason for it because your bats, I mean, they still put up 6 runs yesterday. Like, I understand that they've been doing terribly at the plate overall in April. I understand.
That was good to see.
You put up 6 runs and you lost 8-6. Right.
414 says, why are y'all all over the Brewers? Remember, last year they lost 10 straight. Then they went 2 wins, 13 and 12 in a row. Relax. Well, pause. Get your facts straight, fella. They did not lose 10 straight last year. The last time they lost 10 straight or even close to that was 5 straight in June of 23 from the research that I was able to do over the weekend. So it's been a hot minute since we've been here. And they lost 4 straight last year to open the season. And then 4 straight, I believe, in August. But other than that, this has been the roughest stretch in a long time for the Milwaukee Brewers. Yeah. All of these injuries, by the way, says the 262. I want to repeat this. Says the 262. I'm reading a text. All of these injuries, and Garrett Mitchell still hasn't gone down. Don't blame me. Just saying.
On everything. Yep.
And that's a positive. I like the way this person's thinking. And I did think that, Josh, with Yelly going down and the injuries that we dealt with last year, and we haven't seen Garrett Mitchell in a hot second, I think this is an ebb and flow of Brewers baseball as it stands.
So I'm looking this up because 5 games, right? They're on a 5-game skid.
Yes. The last time they lost 5 in a row.
Do you know the last time they lost 6 in a row?
Do not.
1987.
Okay.
That was the teams when they had team streak, when they had a 12 game, the 12 game, and then the 6 game, and then the 6 game losing. That was the back and forth.
1987.
That according to AI overview. So
sure,
yeah. But still,
everything's right. Like our answers, and I have questions. AI 100% of the time is correct.
That's right. Just woof. They need to win. They need to win tomorrow.
The 715 says, I don't think Gary Sanchez has any business behind the dish. Perkins should be sent down until he can figure out how to get a hit. Let's see what some prospects can do. Uribe should be the closer until McGill can get it straight.
Oh, you mean the Uribe that went 2/3 of an inning and gave up 2 runs yesterday? That Uribe? They're all struggling. They're all struggling.
This person in the 262, this is Ziggy. He has a fantastic point here that I was absolutely going to mention, Josh, and wanted to get your take on.
Okay.
It seems like, Ziggy says, the Wilson Contreras dust-up shook this team. They should have brawled probably to be on a 9-game heater. Ziggy, I 100% agree with you. I think the Milwaukee Brewers, team, managers, whoever got involved, handled that situation with Wilson Contreras absolutely terribly. Absolutely terrible. Nothing came out of the Brewers organization whatsoever that says you're not going to do that to us. Nothing. Josh?
Man, if that was a reason for a 5-game losing streak, this team is in trouble. I understand maybe the rest of the time in Boston. Maybe you're focusing on the wrong things. If you can't come home and hit the reset button against the Nationals, who were also struggling, and get things figured out, because you're still thinking about Wilson Contreras in Boston, and that's got the vibes all messed up, boy, oh boy, what are you doing?
Well, but did the lack of action show a lack of passion? In any other situation I've seen in baseball, in my time as a fan, including with the Brewers, something has to happen. You can't just go up, just move on. No. I did not like the way Woody handled that. I didn't like the way we handled that as a team. I didn't like the way that Pat Murphy handled that. Yelly, after that game, said this isn't our first rodeo with him. We'll do something about it. Show me, and I said it then, I wish Rhys Hoskins was still on the team in that moment, because we would not be having this conversation right now.
Now I'm looking this up quick. The Red Sox, they lost. They lost 1 game against the Cardinals. They won 2 out of 3 in their next set.
So look at the reverse side. They show some spunk, which I believe was done on purpose to wake his club up, and it worked. Some spunk is showed towards us, and we shut down.
All right, so we got to fight somebody against the Blue Jays. Is that what you're saying?
Ear holes.
We got to get mad. Someone get angry. Fine.
Is Joe Thomas mad? That's the question that I have.
Ooh.
He's scheduled to join us next to talk about Chris McIntosh moving on from the Wisconsin Badgers. We know that Joe Thomas has been involved, to say the least, within Wisconsin's football program and recruits and the like. So how is he feeling about this? Because I think the way that he feels is probably the way that the majority of the supporters feel right now. He's scheduled to join. I'm going to shoot him a text right now. Hopefully, when we get back, Joe Thomas is here with the Wisconsin Badgers. We're live from the sports radio network that is here in Wisconsin. Those studios powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. How'd I do? Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
I am 100% loyal to this university and to what it stands for and in the way that we go about our business and doing it with a high degree of integrity. And, it's one of those, failure is not an option, though, I've made plenty of mistakes and I will continue to, not to be confused with perfection, but to me, this place, means the world to me. And like I said, it changed my life. I don't know where I would be without having had access to this university.
The Big Ten office, I guess, is where you would be. Chris McIntosh, audio courtesy of the interview we had with him some time ago on the Inside Wisconsin podcast, where we legit asked him about his passion behind the Wisconsin athletic program that ultimately led to him taking a gig with the Big Ten over the weekend. That news broke last night. We're Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. And joining us now to help us break it down on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Joe Thomas, I'm expecting you to join us from the cold tub one of these times, just so you know. So at some point, it's going to be the phone and the cold tub and the sun, which is the best vitamins in the. What is happening with Chris McIntosh? All right, you go. I'm good. Good.
You're
good.
You missed me by about 5 minutes. Just got out of the cold tub, and if I would have known you want me to stay there, I'd have been happy to hang out and talk Chris McIntosh from the tub.
Okay, well, good to have you in front of a microphone and in your office. We appreciate this. Thanks for jumping on.
Absolutely.
First things first, we know your support of Wisconsin football, how involved you've been from providing dinners and all the things with the farm. Are you surprised by this, or did you see this coming, or where are you at?
I am surprised by it because you saw the words and you heard the words that Chris McIntosh had said previously about his love of Wisconsin. I mean, that's why he decided to stay here. When Barry Alvarez was the athletic director, he kind of handpicked Mac, came back, was his right-hand man, his associate AD, grooming him to take over this role. So it's been many years in the making before McIntosh even took over to be the AD. And then he's been the AD for several years now, and seemingly it's a dream position for him. But I think it's foolish to look at him being an AD, him being a Wisconsin football player, him being groomed for this position without looking at the challenges that they've had with his most important hire, which was Luke Fickell, which was the football program, which is still not winning games at the level that we expect when you make a change from Paul Chryst, a very good football coach who won a lot of games. A lot of people in Wisconsin had a lot of pride in him as the head coach. Then you had Jimmy Leonard, who another opportunity to have a Wisconsin guy there, and you go and get Luke Fickell, who I'm completely behind the hire. I love it. It hasn't worked out thus far. I still believe it's going to work out, but that weighs so heavily on your joy and your satisfaction and your feeling of self-worth in the position that you are in when you're the associate or the head athletic director now with Chris McIntosh, that I can't help but think that his feeling about Wisconsin and being the AD is probably tarnished from where it was a few years ago when you have this football program and this big decision, the biggest decision that you made as an athletic director, that's just weighing over your head for several years now.
Joe, so for me, it's about the timing, right? We see a lot of these type of moves happen, whether it's extensions or people resigning. It's about the timing. The last time we heard anything about this, it was, hey, Chris McIntosh comes out and says, I'm keeping Luke Fickell. We found some money. We're going to use that money. We're going to pour money into the program. A lot of us, especially on the show, came back saying, all right, so we're going to give these guys one more shot. They're saying they needed funding. We're giving them funding. Let's ride. And now, as we inch closer to football season, Chris McIntosh says, I'm out. I'm going to take this other job. Do you read into the timing of this at all?
You know, I think right now Wisconsin's looking for a new system president, a new chancellor, and now an AD, right? So there's a leadership vacuum at the top. And I think probably some of that had to do with when Chris was looking at the people that hire him and are kind of in charge of his role being all brand new, and maybe an opportunity comes up in the Big Ten office with McIntosh. I think all those things are at play. However, from Wisconsin sports fans' perspective, I don't think losing your AD with football season coming up very shortly is as big of a deal as we may want to think it is, because really the role of the AD, you're in charge of budgeting and organizing the athletic department and then hiring and firing the head coaches. And so like when those positions are in place, now you just sit back and it's like, investing in real estate. You do the deal 5 years before, and it takes 5-10 years to figure out if you did a good job, but you just sit back and collect your mailbox money, or you wait till they fire you, right? If you're the AD and you don't do a great job with your hires. And so I think that from a timing standpoint, it was just an opportunity that came up right now for Mac. And also with the combination of not having a system president for the UW and losing your chancellor, like there's a lot of chaos and a lot of uncertainty with his job. And then he gets the opportunity right now. So I think that was really all it was, but I don't think it really hurts the football program or the athletic department. If anything, it's probably a good time to make that move. Because if you think about it, like you can't do it in the summer, which is even closer to football season. Can't do it in the fall in the middle of football season because basketball season's coming up. Can't do it in the middle of the winter because it's the middle of basketball season, the middle of hockey season, right? So like this is kind of the slow time of the year where you get the most amount of time when you bring in a new athletic department to look over the budget, to look at all the positions and be critical of all the different head coaches that you have. So if anything, I think probably the timing is the best right now if you have to find a new athletic director.
So you said that the AD crunches the numbers and then hires and fires the coaches. Does Luke Fickell have anything to worry about this morning?
He doesn't, right? Because we know about his contract, and a new athletic department director is going to come in, and he's not going to make the first move about firing a head coach in the middle of the off season or the beginning of the spring training and spring football. It's way too far into this season to think about being concerned this year. And he was already on the hot seat for next year, right? This was supposedly, I think everybody understands it's probably the make or break season for making that improvement and significant strides with the football program, that I don't think it really raises the temperature on his seat at all, because we knew that, hey, if he didn't win this year, it was probably going to be Mac fired and Fickell fired. So Mac already left. If you do a good job and you show great improvement, it would be a really good situation for that new athletic director to say, hey, we're going to give you another year, right? Because the financial side of the program changed. You learned a lot from your first few years about what it takes in the NIL era at Wisconsin to build a football program that leans into all the great features and the pride that the Wisconsin football program has always had with recruiting in-state players, recruiting big physical offensive and defensive linemen, running the football, being physical. And, oh, by the way, as soon as you figured that out and you got the money behind it, you made big strides. Let's give you another year, right? Because as an athletic director, if you make a change, you immediately get tied to that new person and you get graded and evaluated and hired or fired or extended or fired based on what that new athletic director does if you bring them in. So having patience for an athletic director is actually beneficial from a self-preservation standpoint if you are the AD.
Joe Thomas joining us on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Hall of Famer in the NFL, legend on the football field for Wisconsin, which is why your input, Joe, on all things Wisconsin athletics has been so meaningful to us. Chris McIntosh said that the way Wisconsin football was not the way that Wisconsin football needed to be in the future. That's what it felt like when he got rid of Paul Chryst. That's what it felt like when he didn't hire Jim Leonard. So as we sit here today, my gut says, well, then why'd you take your ball and went home? Because this was the vision that you had for the program. And now, to your point, here's Luke Fickell chilling by himself. Who even hires the AD? Are you interested, per somebody on the Nicolay Law Talk and text line? Or maybe just where do we go from here, man?
Well, you weren't the first one to ask me that. My wife, when she got the text from all of her Badger girlfriends, is like, just confirming you're not going to try to take the athletic director job. I said, don't worry, I'm not interested. You don't have to worry about losing any sleep tonight. So I am not a candidate, nor am I interested, but thank you for asking. But I think really, honestly, what it is Mac understood that if the football program didn't turn it around and win this year, he was going to be fired. Right. And knowing that there's a great chance that the program does turn around, I'm optimistic. I think it's going to happen, but also knowing there's a chance that he wouldn't turn it around. Right. And so I think as much as Mac is a Badger through and through, it's what he loves. It's what he grew up with. It's his pride. It's what he's built right now. And outside of football, he's doing a pretty good job with the athletic department. Unfortunately, that's the only thing that really kind of matters these days in the NIL era. But I think it's for him, he's looking at it going like, hey, this is a good opportunity to step away. And you know what, depending on what happens next year, it was going to be potentially a tough decision that was going to be made. And sometimes it's better. Yeah, maybe if he thinks about like take a different job right now.
Yeah. But that sucks, man. Like you got paid the big bucks to make the big decisions. And now it seemed like a big decision was looming. And you're like, I'm out.
Well, to be clear, the big decision was not his to be made, because I think once you hired Fickle, you were tied with him. And so the big decision would be him getting axed with Fickle if they don't turn it around this year. So, I mean, I think there is some self-preservation, but I don't think any of this really hurts Badger football, right? If Fickle does great, he sticks around. If he doesn't do well, he gets fired anyway, and you would have fired the AD at the end of the year regardless. So I don't think this hurts Wisconsin football at all. I think it probably even maybe gives you clarity, because now it's very, very clear that we have a new athletic department director, or we are about to. And if Fickle wins, he's going to be able to stick around. If he doesn't, the guy that's in charge is going to hire the new head coach. Period. End of story. Done. It would have been harder, in my opinion, if they went through the season, didn't go well. You had to fire the AD and the head coach. Now you got to get a new AD and a new head coach at the same time, which typically means you're going to have to hire an AD first, which takes some time. Then you're going to have to fire or hire a head coach, which is going to take some time after you've hired the AD. It's going to set you back behind all these other programs that are trying to hire head coaches. So to me, it actually is probably pretty good timing right now, because it puts you ahead of the ball if things don't go well this season, where you can already start thinking about what the next move is going to be that allows you to put somebody into that head coaching spot that you really believe can take this program to the next level.
Joe, you talked about being optimistic for this upcoming Badger football season, but then we talk about Chris McIntosh and how you said he kind of looked at it and went, hey, if this doesn't go well, I'm probably out. So he didn't seem, it would appear, as optimistic as you are about the program. Is there any chance that this decision came with some news that we're not aware of maybe getting that funding or something else happening inside the walls at Camp Randall that we're not aware of?
I wouldn't speculate, but I'll just say that we can be optimistic that we think something's going to happen, and also maybe have some risk assessment on the downside that, you know what, maybe I'm not right. Like, I think that's just being a smart person. Like, you know, I think, let's say the Badgers are going to win the opener this year, but that doesn't mean I'm going to put $1 billion on it. I think there's a chance they don't, right? So I think it's also a reasonable thing for him to consider that maybe it doesn't work out, and you have to kind of be ready, maybe not plan for it, but certainly be ready if the things that you expect don't happen.
I told you that the topic was going to be McIntosh and maybe a little hockey. And so on the way out here, what are your thoughts from the weekend and the men's team coming up short against Denver? And then make sure to tell us how the farm is doing too. We always inquire about that.
Yeah, me and the kids watched the hockey. It was pretty awesome to be able to watch the Badgers go from a terrible year last year, everybody wondering what was going on with the men's hockey program. We got the greatest women's hockey program in all of college hockey, and for some reason, the men's program that used to be great, they can't figure it out. But you get the right people in there, you get the right coach in there, the system it takes back over, and all of a sudden now you're sitting in the third period and you're going to give the Badger fans heartbreak by losing when you had a lead in the third, which hurts. But I think they gave us a great season. It was a Cinderella story. It was a beautiful turnaround. And I think there's a lot for Badger football fans to hopefully learn from that. You know, in today's era of college sports, NIL, transfer portal, getting the right people in there, believing in them, supporting them the right way, you can turn things around in one season. And so it was great that the men's hockey program is back up there where it should be. And hopefully they can kind of continue to build now that they've got a model that seems to work. And I'm not the biggest hockey fan ever, so I don't follow all the day in and day out of Badger hockey, but I got a lot of buddies that played for the hockey team back when I was there in the early 2000s with those great programs. And they had mentioned that the reason that things were not working maybe before this year and the previous coaches was because they were successfully recruiting some awesome NHL talent, but then those guys would be here for a year, kind of played for themselves, and then they would leave. And that whole idea of coming here, developing a little bit, becoming a great team, it was lost because you did have great success, great tradition. Maybe you had a head coach that could recruit very well of the top high school talent, the top junior talent. They get those guys, but then they're only here for a year. You've got mercenaries instead of guys that are bought in and that are prideful in everything that has to do with the program and that stick around and build a team. And really in college sports, it's probably better to honestly have those guys that can develop, that can be around for 4 years, for 5 years, that can learn the program, that can be players, athletes that are fully committed in the fourth quarter when things are hard and it's hot and it's sweaty and you're tired and you're ready to give up. If you're just playing for yourself, you're going to give up. But if you're playing for your brother next to you, you're not going to give up. If you're playing for the colors and that are on your jersey, and we used to say the logo on the side of your helmet, like those are the things that allow you to go further and farther than you ever imagined. And so I think potentially what Wisconsin football should do, could do, hopefully is doing, could be learned from where the Badger hockey program has come in 1 year.
Love that. How is springing at Six Springs Farm?
Spring is great, man. I was out there this weekend. It was actually youth turkey hunting season. So I had my son and another buddy and his kid out there, and it was awesome. We've got calving season starting this week. Last week, we just were separating all of our cows that are going to be having their calves here in the next month. We put them in our calving barn, and we're getting ready to move the rest of the Wagyu back onto pasture as things start to green up here pretty quick. So it's a beautiful time of year to be out there on the farm. And man, we ate a delicious short rib, Asian Korean style. Put it on my Twitter and Instagram, Joe Thomas 73. And life is good in Wisconsin right now on the farm for sure.
I love it, man. Well, when we reach out, bud, you always respond and let us know if you can or can't. Today, we're really glad you could. So thanks for jumping on Inside Wisconsin Sports. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Check out hallofamebeef.com. We got jerky subscriptions that we're pushing right now, benefiting Blood Cancer United. $5 of every pack of jerky that we sell of our Hall of Fame jerky goes to fight all sorts of blood cancers through Blood Cancer United. So thanks for having me on, guys. Have a wonderful day.
I love it, Joe. Thanks for the mention. We appreciate it. Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. NFL Hall of Famer Joe Thomas, who for some reason doesn't have his number retired at Camp Randall, which is embarrassing that Chris McIntosh didn't get that done before he left, but I digress.
Yeah, well, if Joe becomes the AD, then he can do it.
He's out.
Yeah.
The wife says you in. He says, absolutely not. I'm out.
He had a shot.
Now, if that football head coach position.
I didn't bring that up, but I wanted to.
Know, but I'm going to win it. We're definitely going to in the future.
Yeah.
All right. The good, the bad, the ugly from the Wisconsin weekend that was in sports. When we get back, we're live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. It's Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
Hey, did you know that any youth sports player can score a free small classic Frosty anytime they visit Wendy's in their sports uniform? That's right. Just stop by after practice or with your team after a game. Who doesn't love a Frosty?
It's Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Depending on who you ask, there were some good, some bad, and some ugly over the weekend. But what category, what statistic, what piece of news falls in which, I think is open to interpretation, Josh, because many would say Doc Rivers moving on from the Milwaukee Bucks is good news, yet as ugly as it gets from a Bucks perspective.
Yeah, agreed.
The same is true for the Milwaukee Brewers. It's pretty bad there right now, but based on where Yelly's injury comes in, it might be really ugly.
Yeah, the Brewers to me fallen really ugly. The only other good that I saw from over the weekend was the Admirals won and are going back to the playoffs.
Nice.
That's it. that was it. They were the only team in Wisconsin, as far as I know, anyway, that won, that had a win this weekend.
Well, and on the outside looking in, a lot of people are saying that it's good that Chris McIntosh is moving on from athletic director at Wisconsin. A surprise to Joe Thomas. Our thanks for him joining us on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh, who is pretty close to the program. And if he's surprised, whoa.
That's what I'm saying. That's why that's why I couldn't put this in the good. I don't know that it's necessarily in the bad, but the timing for me is just got me asking a lot of questions.
The plane was barely landed from Las Vegas with the hockey team on it, and he accepted a job with the Big Ten that didn't exist the day before he accepted it. There's a lot cooking. Now, the question here is who hires the AD? Joe Thomas just told us there's nobody running the UW system at the top. There's no chancellor at UW who is the person that typically hires the athletic director.
It doesn't seem like they're going to have an AD for a while.
You know what we should do? We should get the government involved.
No. Terrible idea.
Well, does it not seem like that's the case, though? The second we get the government involved with anything, let alone athletics at the UW, poofty smoke, everything goes to hell in a handbasket. Oh, wait, it already was. You're right. If you're Luke Fickell, I loved your question.
You worried at all?
I don't think you're worried to start, but I certainly think there's got to be something going through your dome that says, don't get too comfy here in Madison, fam.
Yeah, I just sit here going, something had to change. Something had to happen that made him go, never mind, I'm out. And that would have, if I was Luke Fickell, that would have me worried. If I don't already know.
I think it was the chancellor that got Chris McIntosh all twisted. And now that he's gone, I guarantee Fickell's a little twisted. The Brewers are twisted. So let's check in with our guy, Tim Allen, when we come back on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. The franchise is next.
It's time for your fan weather forecast brought to you by Gravely Zero Turn Commercial Mowers. Cloudy conditions expected today with a high of 74 degrees. It's currently 62 degrees here in Milwaukee.
I am an eternal optimist. So please, God, don't tell me that you're an eternal pessimist.
I like to say I'm a realist.
Oh, great. We're going to get along great. This is going to be great.
This is Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
Crowd is here, about to blow, waiting for me to start the show. Out the curtain, lights go up from home. Whoa!
Trying to nail down his first career save. High fly ball right field. Back on it is Wood, and he's got it in foul grounds. And Gus Varlin has his first career save in the majors, and the Washington Nationals sweep the Brewers.
It's going to be good to get these guys out of town. They have been pesky all weekend. And for a bullpen that came into this series being one of the worst in the big leagues, they were impressive. They did a good job holding the Brewers down. Let's see what happens when the Blue Jays hit town here on Tuesday.
Bill Schroeder, not impressed. Brian Anderson, a little down in the dumps. Like the rest of us in Milwaukee Brewers fandom land. Audio courtesy of Brewers TV. What's up, Wisconsin? Welcome to Hour 3 of Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Trevor Thomas, Josh Albrecht.
Hi.
And the franchise himself joining us now on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. We'll see what kind of mood he's in. Tim Allen on Inside Wisconsin Sports. You know what, Timmy? It didn't take us long to review the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we think Brewers baseball falls in all three categories right now.
Yeah.
So please help us not panic and just go, okay, hold on. We had the same record on April 12th last year as we do this year. And so how are you processing what is the longest skid since June of 2023?
Yeah, that's weird. You've lost 5 in a row. And why the Brewers have not lost 5 in a row since then? Pitching. And we knew that was going to be a question mark. More on that in a second here. I've always wanted to ask you this question, Josh.
Yes, sir.
Okay, when you say high,
hi.
Is it a high or is it a high ye? Is it a high ye?
Ooh.
Or is it a high?
I haven't thought about high. No, it's a high.
It's a high ye. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's a high ye.
Just wanted to check that out.
Nope. That's it.
Okay. Coming off a night of $14 double Jack and Cokes down in Waukegan last night.
All right.
I still feel pretty good. I still feel okay. And here's the deal. There's good and bad. Number one, you're right, Trevor, in that they have the same record last year. This is a marathon. However, every game counts the same. Those are big losses. These are big losses over the weekend here. They got out-brewered by that national team, and the Brewers just couldn't get their brand of baseball going. Is it going to happen? Yes. All right, so let's check a couple of boxes here. They're going to take some lumps on a pitching staff for sure because they're young. They're just young dudes, and we talked about that leading it up to the season. That's going to happen occasionally. Okay, well, okay. So a young pitching staff. What I don't like is just the whole feel of it, and that would be injuries to Jackson Chourio and Andrew Vaughn, injuries to a couple of bullpen arms, injuries to early on to a Robert Gasser was bumped up a little bit, and Logan Henderson was feeling it a little bit. Now you tack on Christian Yelich. And I include all of this into one big negative side of things, and you start checking boxes. A couple of former managers pass away, which that's just weird. Isn't that just weird? And it just all seems to pile on here. You have a team that offensively was holding their own and just completely shut off. I mean, you got a lot of bad things surrounding the organization right now. And then you get to the Wisco jerseys, which I wanted to ask you guys. I have not heard your comments on the Wisco jerseys, but now, you know, a lot of Brewer fans and post gamers are saying it's all because of the Wisco jerseys ever since they're 0-3 and it's a jinx and all that. But what did you guys think of the jerseys?
Josh?
So I don't like the jersey, but I like the line. Like I bought a hoodie. I thought the jersey specifically didn't do anything for me, but I'm totally with everyone else. I was like, I'm not a fan. Oh, okay. I understand the story a little bit. They're okay. They went 0-3 because of them. Get rid of them. You got to blame it on something. Why not?
Yeah, you'll expect me to feel the exact opposite. I absolutely love everything about the jerseys. I love the story behind them. I love the sand-colored pants. I love the hats, the W. I love the whole thing. And I really love that the state of Wisconsin is getting credit for everything they put behind this Brewers club.
Right on. 100%. I love the concept of this because I've always said there's a unique relationship between Brewer fans in the state of Wisconsin and that organization. And it's about time we sort of, it's almost like, I don't know, it's confirmed what I've been saying for, 20 years on the postgame show. This is a cool relationship with a baseball team. And especially since Miller Park was put up at that time with the dome, no one has to worry about the VFW in Wausau if they take their group outing, or the Lions Club in Eau Claire. You guys don't have to worry about it. In Green Bay, when you do this, your softball league is getting some buses together and we're tailgating. Never, ever do you have to worry about weather. It's just a constant. I love the concept. Conceptually, just a brilliant idea. Now, the color schemes, look, that's subjective. It is in all sports. I mean, look at what do they call it in the NFL? The color rush or whatever and a lot of people love them. A lot of people hate them. So what about the Green Bay Packers? I've heard that when they mess around a little bit with their uniforms. No, don't do that. And others, yes, let's do it. It looks great on TV. So, but the concept, Trevor, you're right on, man. It's cool.
Thanks, brother.
All right, Timmy, I gotta ask you the same question that I asked Trevor earlier in the show. Not saying that we're hitting the panic button, but when do we? And if they get swept by the Blue Jays, then are you hitting the panic button? Because that was it for Trevor.
Okay, so a sweep by the Blue Jays would be it?
Yep, going to eight losses in a row.
8-10, and an 8-game losing streak.
Yep.
That's what they would be, right? Yeah, doing the numbers. Okay. No, it's too early, but doesn't it feel, guys, this is a good thing maybe or a bad thing. I don't know which. Take your pick. But through 15 games here, does it not seem like we've been doing this for 3 months?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, it's just at times it's, oh man, what are you doing, Garrett Mitchell? You're getting picked off. Your offense is struggling in the first place. Once you get on base, don't get picked off. Or Garrett with an injury. Pat Murphy with his lineups. That to me, I think is probably going to be addressed pretty quick here. I think Pat Murphy is going to settle into a guy like Jake Bauers solely because it's a lefty on the mound. Play him anyway. What do you do? What's the difference here between a Jake Bauers against a lefty and Blake Perkins or Brandon Lockridge against anybody? You have to play this because your offense is struggling. Now, is it a panic button? No, it's not. It's a 5-game skid. one of the most concerning parts about the offense, just in this window, in this 3-game series, was the fact that your offense struggled despite putting up 6 runs yesterday. You had 4 homers yesterday, but your offense struggled mightily against a really bad pitching staff. That is the concern right there. And now we're seeing it show up, the adjustments that need to be made without Jackson Churio and Andrew Vaughn. And I'm not saying they're going to step back in and the offense is, hey, now it's great, but it puts people back in their roles. It puts Brandon Lockridge as the last outfielder instead of the second or third outfielder on the field. It puts Blake Perkins back to Nashville, where he should be with some depth coverage. It puts Jake Bauers back into a role of a little bit of DH, a little bit of platooning with Vaughn. Maybe he gets hot and he gets some starts in the outfield. So it's putting people back in their roles more than anything, maybe even more than the production from just those 2 guys. It puts everybody back to normal.
Tim Allen joining us on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Josh and I talked earlier, Timmy, about the lack of passion, maybe is the best word to put this, in regard to the Brewers club when it came to the Wilson Contreras piece. How we didn't literally respond at all. And now the Red Sox have won 5 out of 6 since that moment, and the Brewers have lost 5 straight. Do you think there's anything to this, my man, in regard to just, hey, guys, like, hold on. We can't allow that crap to happen to us, and we need to respond?
Years ago, everyone refuted in the industry, everyone refuted momentum in baseball. Everyone fought that. And you heard announcers, you heard players, managers, coaches, industry people, media guys. Oh, there's no such thing as momentum. It's all about the next day's starter. And the next day's starter that's your momentum. Now, more and more, we're seeing, and hearing players come out and say, oh yeah, there's momentum. We're on a roll here. How is there not momentum in pro sports? I mean, I never did get that. And I fought that. This is going all the way back to Jim Powell days on the Brewers radio network, where I would just be listening to the game and shaking my head. Jim, you're wrong. You're just dead wrong. And I love him. I think he's a great broadcaster.
Oh, he was so good.
He was good. Yeah. And he got ousted in Atlanta. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah,
but anyway, now you're seeing momentum. And to your point now, Trevor, did the Brewers handle that properly? This is just me. A lot of people want to take the high road. And I'm not saying I'm a badass in any way, no way, shape, or form. But I do know professional sports that you do have to stick up for yourself. You have to stick up for your teammates. You have to stick up for your team. And that just wasn't done. Now, they chose the tack to take was, hey, we're going to take the high road. And we've seen this before. That's nothing. You got to remember, when Wilson Contreras got hit in that game Monday night, 1 week ago, there was a mound visit just prior to that. And I would imagine they had said, hey, let's not lose track here to Woody. Let's not lose track here. Let's stay inside on Contreras. That's how you get him, because he wants to go middle and away a lot. So you have to stay inside, but you don't want to let one leak over the plate. He'll turn on one once in a while. So was that a planned attack? Well, I don't know. But the reaction to it, all I can say is what I would have done. There would have been an answer. And in the days of policing the game themselves, those days are over, it appears. Were they just, the umpires, everybody just, hey, this guy got drilled after a home run. Okay, the umpire's thinking, I'm going to give the other team that one, and then the next one I'm going to throw out the warnings. There was always the answer back was accepted, and that transitioned a little bit in about the last decade, where it's once in a while an umpire will say, no, that was an answer back. No, most times they'll let the players police themselves. And I would have. Someone's getting hit, and it didn't matter. And furthermore, and finally on this, how in the world MLB did not step in and suspend him for threats of violence is beyond belief. It's just beyond belief.
Be better.
Yeah, seriously. That was wild in its own right. I need your help, Timmy, figuring out. I keep trying to compare what's happening right now with this Brewers team to what happened last year. And I'm thinking about, okay, yeah, there were injuries last year. There are injuries this year. How did the Brewers keep winning those games through the injuries? And it came down to the bullpen and scrappy play getting through it. What is going on with the Brewers bullpen? Because that was a terrible series for them.
Well, and the decision to take Woody out at 70 pitches, that's interesting. I know Woody said he was reaching or getting toward the edge. And I don't know what occurred there, but a lot of defense of that move would be that this is a long season and you want Woody for the whole season and don't push him now. You just jazzed him up for 94 in his prior start. Now we got to back it down a little bit, take the bigger picture kind of thing. But it's Josh, it appears that, Murph said it over the weekend. It appeared that they weren't playing with conviction. They weren't playing with that edge. And then it just snowballs on you where, your offense is struggling. You had a lead 3-2 in the 7th inning in 2 of these games over the weekend. I don't know if people realize that. Most times that's going to be a win when you have Serpa and you have Trevor McGill and you have Abner Uribe and Grant Anderson's having a fantastic year thus far. When you have those guys, most times a 3-2 lead in the 7th in Milwaukee is going to be a win. So it just piled on. Your offense is struggling. Now your bullpen gets beat on a little bit. And then on top of it, you throw in a Christian Yelich injury. And, Pat Murphy had said, brace for bad news with Yelly.
The franchise, Tim Allen on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
But there'll be better days. I will say that. This team is better than what they're playing. We all know that. We all know that baseball punched them in the face. Washington, are they an improved team? Yes. And you look around, they're very similar to the Brewers from a couple of years ago. Guys getting into their second year, guys that are taking a little bit of a quantum leap. James Wood is really he's on a massive roll. So you got punched in the face in baseball, but the piling on concerns me. Just the whole vibe of it.
Yeah.
And are the Brewers, you have to ask yourself, they've been so successful, and again, we don't want to define success for anybody, but I'll just throw that out there. Successful in the last decade. Are they not due for a clunker? I would just say that people are wondering that. Is this the year that, it just didn't work out? Maybe. We'll see. But I know we have 5.5 months of this stuff. That's crazy good. That's a good thing. So hang in there, Brewers fans. They're better than what they looked over the weekend.
Timmy, before we let you go, let's take a trip down memory lane real quick. You mentioned him earlier. Phil Garner passes away after a battle with cancer, the second most winning manager in Brewers history. His best season was season number 1 in 92 when they won 92 games. Because I think you're an encyclopedia, give me the starting lineup of the 1992 Milwaukee Brewers.
Jaha and Molitor.
Molly, yep, for sure.
It was Molitor, Yount, and Gantner's last year. Now,
yes, it was.
Jim Gantner, he got hurt that year.
Scott Fletcher came in.
And it was, Pat Listash. I think
Listash was shortstop as well,
rookie year. And so those are some of the ball players right there. That was one of my favorite non-playoff seasons, if not my favorite. I mean, 87 ranks up there, but they had a long losing streak or two in that season as well as the great start. But 92, man, they ran wild on the base pass. They beat Toronto, speaking of Toronto, and they beat Toronto 22 to something that season. And they stole 1 million bases in that game. It was, man, that was a great year. And Phil Garner, I'll give you one quick story. That was one of the first years I got into sports talk radio. Okay. And I was mortified to have a press pass and go interview Brewers and all this stuff. I didn't know how it worked, Trevor, Josh. I mean, you guys now know how it works in a Packers locker room and a Brewers clubhouse and a Bucks locker room. But so I didn't really know how it worked. I'm trying to figure it out on the fly. I wanted to get an interview with Phil Garner in his first year. And so it was after the media, most of the media had gone. And I'm like, Phil, do you have time for a quick interview? Again, I mean, this is Phil Garner, 3-time All-Star, World Series winner. He's on the A's team in the mid-'70s. I mean, there's baseball cards, plenty in my basement of this guy right here, and I'm in front of him. And he goes, yeah, you know what? Give me a minute. I'm going to take a quick shower. Okay. Listen to this. He comes out of the shower stark naked, doesn't put a towel on, and says, I'm ready. And I went, oh, I'm thinking,
are you sure?
Are going to put some clothes on, right? Nope. Just sat down in his chair naked.
Tell me you did the interview anyway.
I did.
Attaboy.
Absolutely did.
Attaboy.
Outstanding. Oh, the one, the only, Tim Allen. Timmy, we'll talk to you again on Friday. Hopefully if it's better days ahead.
Yep, you got it, guys. Thanks.
All right, Tim Allen joining us on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all.
Reminds me of Major League. We're out of towels, and I'm too old to hide behind a locker.
If you're him, if you're Tim Allen in that moment, what do you do? You know what? Actually, can we chat next time, maybe?
No, I think you got to just do it. Because then why do you say you didn't get the interview, right? I'm not going there. I'm just going, yep, we did it. I think
that would have qualified as a reason why I didn't, for what it's worth.
Well, I don't know.
92 was a different time.
That's true.
92 and 70. And ironically, they ended up 4 games behind the eventual World Series champion, Toronto Blue Jays. That's eerie. I don't like it.
They need to win tomorrow.
They do. And you know who needed to win over the weekend was Wisconsin hockey. They didn't get it done, but we'll check in with somebody that was there, hear what it was like, and also get his feedback on Chris McIntosh leaving the chair that is the athletic director position at the University of Wisconsin. From Channel 15 in Madison, Jocko joins us next, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We are inside Wisconsin sports with Trevor and Josh. Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh, live from that very Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Joining us now on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Some know him as Mike, like two people probably. Majority of the rest of us know him as Jocko from Channel 15 in Madison. What's up, Jocko? Good to see you, buddy.
I think people that want my money, people that I owe bills to, I think owe me is Mike or Michael, and that's about it. So everybody else is Jocko.
There's one other one, I think, and he says hello. We share a good friend. Pat Mayo says hi.
Yeah, please don't ever mention that. Certainly on the radio as well. Please, dear Lord, you just told millions of people that I know Pat Mayo, and then you told millions of people that you know Pat Mayo. Now we're both.
Who's Pat Mayo?
Yeah,
I
good for you, Josh. That's good for you.
Thank you.
You're better for it. You're much better for it.
And Pat is going to eat this up.
Oh, it's great.
Oh, dude. Hey, buddy, good to see you. Welcome.
Well, good to
back
see you. Thanks,
Vegas.
guys. I'll see you later.
Yeah. No.
Okay, hold on. Let's start with hockey.
Let's start over,
and then
yeah.
we got to get your reaction to all this Chris McIntosh stuff. We actually had Joe Thomas on the air this morning talking about it as well. But you were there at T-Mobile Arena on the Strip in Vegas for what was shaping up to be another national championship. And then Denver decided to actually wake up.
Yeah, it was a heck of a weekend. We got there Tuesday night, and first of all, when they announced a while ago that it was going to be in Vegas, and it was like, please, dear Lord, Badgers find a way to make it to Vegas. And somehow in that season of ups and downs of a 6-game losing streak and a 7-1 loss to Ohio State in the Big Ten tournament, they found a way to get it done. Daniel Hauser, their goaltender, got hot at perfectly the right time, and they made a way. They found their way to Vegas, and they played amazing against North Dakota. They played amazingly against a very great team in Denver, the national champions. I thought they gave up a couple of fluky goals to Denver. Badgers scored a great goal by their kid from Moscow. So it's just it was a great weekend. It was a great weekend because you get to know some of the players' parents. You get to know the coaches a little bit better. You get to know some of the insides of a team that Mike Hastings, the head coach, doesn't really share. He's kind of where some coaches come to practice, sit around, watch it all you want, where Mike Hastings is come to media day, and then I shut it down for the rest of the year. He'll let you talk to the players, but he doesn't really let you kind of get the inside of how the practice is run. And Mike Hastings is he's pretty hard nosed. He's an old school hockey guy, and I certainly got to I've known him for a while now. Got to know him off the ice, but to see him in that national spotlight at the national championship. National semis and the national championship game. Just a great guy and leads a great program. Their assistants are awesome. And they were so close to winning their 7th national championship. Just came a little bit short.
Jocko, can we officially say UW-Madison hockey school?
I think, yeah.
Solidified?
I think it's official. I think it's official. I mean, the 7th national championship, along with getting the women to win theirs, their UW is the only school to have won it in the same year as 2006. Both teams won it in the same year, and then 2026 they would have done it again, and they were so close. Probably they were 5 minutes away from doing it again. But yeah, I think you can call them officially the hockey school in the United States. It was it's pretty special to be a part of, and we could talk all day about Mark Johnson and how awesome he is, and what it's like to call him a friend and to hang out with him and I was at his house and he put his gold medal around his neck for the first time in like 13 years. I know 30 years, pardon me. And to be standing there and seeing Mark Johnson with the gold medal around his neck, it was goosebumps. I was in tears by the time he was done taking it off because it's so cool to see him. But he wouldn't have put it on until I begged him to, and it was kind of an ugly beg by me, but he did. But definitely, Josh, a hockey school led by two great coaches in Hasty and Mark Johnson.
At Jocko Sports on Twitter, we're talking to Jocko from WMTV, Channel 15 in Madison, where there's a little bit of a shakeup this morning.
Yeah.
A report from last night said Chris McIntosh is taking his ball, although it's flat, and it's a flat football, and he's taking it to the Big Ten front office. What?
Crazy, right? I mean, and now the Badgers have made it official around 8:00 this morning. They've sent out an official notice and an official notice from Chris McIntosh as well. I guess you could play the breaking news stinger if you want, but they sent out the release that Chris McIntosh is leaving the University of Wisconsin and has taken that job as the deputy director of strategic things. Yes, strategic thingies, I think, is the official title of it.
Deputy Commissioner for Strategy.
Yeah, there you go. See, I was right. Thingies, strategic thingies. So he's on his way out. He's out. If he's not on his way out, he's packing his stuff as we speak. So he is gone. The weird thing is that I did run into Chris on Thursday night after the Badgers won, and he's usually good about giving interviews. And I was going to talk to him about the excitement of going to the national championship game. And I'm like, "Hey, Mac, can we grab you for a second? Love to talk to you about how exciting this is." And he said, "Hey, Jocko, probably not a good time right now." And I thought maybe because maybe he had been celebrating a little bit, like enjoying a couple pops up in the the fun part that is Vegas up there. And I really thought that maybe like he had a couple cocktails and wanted to talk on the air, but probably, but now that I look back, it was probably because he wasn't going to be there maybe on Sunday. So now I look back, I understand why he, who would turn down Jocko, right? I mean, that's a sin, but yes, now I get it. So he's on his way out. That's it is a big shakeup. That's it comes at a time where I look back on things, and you talked about the football program a little bit. That this hasn't been the greatest of times at the University of Wisconsin. But I do think that after what had happened with finally talking to Chancellor Mnuchin and getting the University of Wisconsin on board with all that is money wise, and having them be part of the whole program, as far as NIL, and getting money from the university, how Indiana has done it. How that's kind of the big one, is how Indiana got it done, how they've taken money from the university and incorporated it into their football program. The Alabamas, those schools have done it for years. They've found a way, but Indiana is the one big school that everybody is kind of going, wait, if Indiana can do it, every school can do it. So, they finally got Chancellor Mnuchin on board when Chris McIntosh and Coach Fickle finally got to meet with her. She's leaving too, by the way. They finally got to meet with her and kind of got her on board to get this thing rolling. And I truly believe that it's finally going in the right direction. And now Chris McIntosh is leaving as well.
Josh, I'm just going to read real quick from the release this morning, which I just found online. It says, personally, this is from McIntosh, there's excitement to play a role in preserving the best of what college athletics means to student athletes. Maybe it's just me, but I would not use the word preservation to explain his tenure as the Wisconsin athletic director. Am I wrong on that?
Josh, Josh, your thoughts. I just think go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I'm kind of with him. Earlier in the show, I was just looking from 2021 on, really 2021, 2022, and asking, what's the highlight? What's the highlight for Chris McIntosh and his tenure here? What is the moment that you go, that was because of Chris McIntosh in a positive light? I'm not exactly sure that there is one that's super standing out more than the rest. And so I understand, you got to say something. Everyone says something. ChatGPT, jumble some words together, put it out as a press release. But when you dig a little deeper and you kind of look at all of it, I don't know. And Jocko, that for me is why I'm looking at motive and timing, right? Because this was a shock of it happening. And it has me a little bit worried about what this could mean. What conversations happened behind closed doors that we're not aware of? Because the last we had heard was him saying they're investing in the football program. We found a boatload of money. Don't worry about it. We're putting money in to the program. We're gonna fund it. Then we see that like the state got involved. They're funding it. Okay, so the problem was money, right? That's what you said. We needed to give Luke Fickell money. Hey, here's some money. And that left all of us kind of saying, all right, so we're going to give both of them a year. We're going to give both of a year. Now they found the money. You both get 1 year to prove that was the only reason. And then before it can get started, he's out by his choice. What? Something's fishy. What's going on here that I don't know?
I look back at on his tenure, and it's only been a couple hours, and I'm still in the haze that is Las Vegas, and taking a red eye back before all that happens. The hiring of Mike Hastings certainly a big, and compared to where the football program is now, and I'm in the minority of, I still think there is a chance that that it's going to be turned around with Luke Fickell. I know that there's people that think that it won't happen. I still think that this year obviously is a telltale sign of what happens. Now that there is this money, that they are trying to look like Indiana as far as getting this money and giving it to guys, and now they finally have learned to put that fence around the state of Wisconsin and keep those guys in. That was not what was happening the first 3 years with the organization. So I still give them a chance. You're right, Josh. Though what is happening behind the scenes, what is he seeing? What does that say to his tenure here? I do think that the hiring of the hiring of Mike Hastings is big, and then who knows what happens with Luke Fickell? It could still be his biggest hire down the stretch, but for him to leave at the biggest point of his tenure, we shall see.
We shall see. Jocko, you're the best. Thanks for jumping on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Don't be a stranger, and please don't hold it against me that I know Pat Mayo.
I will never forget that you told everybody on the air that I know Pat Mayo. But love you guys.
Literally said, "Is it okay if I mention this?" And he was like, "Of course." He's wrong.
No, we stood up at each other's weddings. I love Pat Mayo. He knows that.
Oh, boo!
And I love you guys. Keep doing great.
Thanks, Jocko.
The Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Josh, the Bucks just made it official. A release came out at 8:34 a few moments ago. Doc Rivers has stepped down as head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay.
We will react with our friends from 9 to noon with John Kuhn and Rami Makloff when we get back. We're live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We knew Doc was out, but apparently it's on his own doing, which I don't believe. It's Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
Bring your cravings. Wendy's will bring the rewards. Download the Wendy's app today and start earning rewards. Wendy's rewards are fast, free, and full of flavor. Get 200 bonus reward points and a free 10-piece nugs just for signing up. Earn points on every order and trade them for fries, burgers, and more. Earn free eats faster than you can say fresh, never frozen. Loyalty has never tasted so good.
It's Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. As we headed to break there, the news broke. It's official. Doc Rivers steps down as Milwaukee Bucks head coach. His quote, yeah, right. Here's his quote in the release. I've truly loved my time in Milwaukee, Rivers said. Coming back to where I got my start, to a city that's always embraced me, has been a privilege. He goes on to say, I'm disappointed that things did not turn out the way any of us hoped. But I am deeply grateful for his experience, the relationship built, and unwavering support from our fans and the community. Milwaukee will always mean a lot to me, and this chapter will hold a special place in my heart. Well, maybe yours, Doc, but not necessarily ours.
Yeah, that whole press release, the responses from everyone, the quotes, it all sounded to me like the teachers from the Peanuts. Womp, 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 womp. Just this is why people still go to school and get, degrees to do PR, to write these type of things.
Right.
None of that. Yeah, this holds a very special place in your heart. Failing 3 separate times. Great. Fantastic.
Yeah,
I'm glad that's going to mean a lot to you, bud.
There's a hole in my heart, but by all means, I'm glad you're doing well.
Yeah. Fantastic.
They're going to talk about it ad nauseum, I'm sure of that, but let's nonetheless check in with John Kuhn and preview what's coming up next from 9 to noon with John Kuhn, Rami Makloff, and Brandon Snide. Maybe the first question there, John Kuhn, is how was your Masters weekend more than anything?
Well, it was a tremendous weekend, and it looked like for a second it might not be. Rory took a 6-shot lead out of Friday and into Saturday, and you just thought, man, this guy, he has really exercised all the demons that Augusta National has put on him. He's going to run away with this tournament. And back to reality went Rory McIlroy, and credit to him for being able to grind that thing out over the weekend, come away with the win. As there was a lot of big names chasing him down Saturday and even yesterday. And at one point in time, down 3 shots yesterday, just trudging away and able to pull that one out. I thought it was the fireworks were there for a good portion of Sunday, which is all we can really ask for in a Masters.
Yeah, I agree. I did want the fireworks to go a little bit longer. I hated that. Like, I wish Scheffler would have made his putt, just something to put a little bit more pressure on Rory on that last hole. I didn't like that he could have, he could bogey and still win it.
Could you imagine a Scheffler McIlroy playoff?
I mean, the thing was right there. It was inches away.
Everybody was begging for it. There was a 5-minute span there, Josh. You're absolutely right, where that tournament was pretty much sealed. The 5 minutes when on 17, Scheffler's putt just wiggled out the left side and did not go down for birdie. And Rory hits his wedge shot just a little heavy and barely stays on the green on 15. That could have flip-flopped it, and we could be talking about Scotty Scheffler as a one-shot victory here today had they gone the other way around. Nonetheless, man, give Rory credit because he scrambled for a par on both 16 and 17, and neither of those were easy.
I was mostly disappointed that Justin Rose 3-putted twice.
Yeah, that chunk from Rose.
He should have been on the -12 train and then in a playoff as well, which would have been really fun for old Trev.
Just so you know, Kuhn, so on Friday, that was what Chuck Arpedian said. He's the pick. And
emphatically.
Yeah. And your boy Trev was like, I'm all in. Laid some money down on him. Let's go. And then Justin Rose gave us a show. He was right there. He had the lead. Solo lead for a minute.
He did, but how did that top 4 players in the world work against the field, Josh?
Yeah, not great. Not great. Let me tell you, I was feeling really good there for a second, especially when Rose was in first. I was like, let's go. All right, here we go. This is going to be great. Chunk. And it was the chunk kind of changed everything. The chunk from Rose, then everyone else fell off. And then, Rory's gets back with a birdie. And I'm like, son of a gun. This is all going the wrong way. And it did.
Josh, do you want to retire the Brewers New City Connect jerseys?
I mean, they are 100% the reason why they lost, right? That's what
lost 3 times.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
0 for 3.
Yeah, not great.
Woof.
9 to noon with John Kuhn, Rami Makloff, Brandon Snide coming up next here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Those studios powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. The guest hotline presented by Gruber Law. One call, that's all, was hot and heavy today. Our thanks to Joe Thomas for jumping on right away the morning after Chris McIntosh says peace out. It was awesome to hear his feedback and reaction, along with Jocko from Channel 15. And as always, our guy Tim Allen, the franchise himself, joining us every Monday and most Fridays at 8 a.m. We'll see you again tomorrow, Wisconsin. It's Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. We will see you tomorrow. We promise.
Because we're not done yet.